Our next guest is a beloved former Twins blogger, the author of Batgirl, also a that's worth clapping for. Batgirl. She's a writer, and her next children's book, Breadcrumbs, will be published next fall. I would like to welcome to the stage, in full color, Annue Ursu. And we had everybody pick like walk-on music, so.
Which is like the most important question you can ever be asked in your life. Like, what is your walk-on music? It's like, what is the essence of your soul? And so you go completely blank. And for me, it's probably really like, Come Away With Me or Close to You or something like that.
There's some pretty dubious choices, actually, when you go to the ballpark and the ball players sort of, because they all pick their own music, and, some of it's really good, but.
Well, there was this great thing that happened. I don't remember what team it was, and maybe somebody knows, some National League team. They decided to punk one of their players, so he went up to bat, and It's Raining Men started to play. Oddly, he was a little pissed off.
I can't imagine why. Well, we only have one image for yours, which is great. And this is, I think, a beautiful image, and I think an image that speaks volumes for the whole Batgirl experience. So we can come back to it, or we can talk about it now.
About the image? Okay. Well, this is Lou Ford, former Twin... I see you remember him. Tucking himself into bed, and this was the Batgirl musical 05, which was a video produced by Team Batgirl, and it was sort of, Gardy looking on the season as sort of a Les Miserables, one day more, intermission break, really, I want that World Series ring. And Lou was a character that drove Batgirl for like a couple of years. I was just talking to Julie and trying to remember some of the stuff that he did, but like in real life, like I didn't even have to exaggerate him for Batgirl, because in real life he would do things like iron a shirt with like the shirt on. He was a massive dork, and he carried a giant supercomputer around with him wherever he went, so he could, for all the road trips, so he could go gaming. And one night, Gardy saw him in a restaurant with some other guys, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I met them on Final Fantasy."
Well, no, you've just said a very interesting thing here. You've referred to Mr. Ford not as a person or a player, but indeed as a character, which I think kind of goes a long way to explaining why Batgirl was so much fun to read.
Batgirl's always been very hard to describe. So, what do you do? Well, I have a Twins blog. And what it did was tended to treat the players as characters in my own little sick, bizarre little world. And that worked very well when the blog started, which was in 2004, and this was the era of the get-to-know-him twins. This was Doug Minkiewicz and AJ Przinsky and Jock Jones and... Jeff Rebel. Yes! So, dude. And that was the whole Twins marketing plans. Like, come back, watch us. Really, we're good now. But also, they were kind of selling them as characters.
Get to know them. Yeah. It's like a sitcom, It's
right.
Like, yeah. Which is like they all live in the Metrodome.
And snuggle T.C. Bear at night. And, like the Yankees don't really market themselves on, like, their characters. The Yankees get to know them. They, tend to sell tickets by doing things like winning World Series, Language.
Get to know CC Sabathia. Wouldn't you love to party with that guy?
Such a sweetheart. Yeah, so the Twins have to go a different route, and that route is like, hey, we're a bunch of really good guys. And at that time, it was like, wow, Doug Minkiewicz, he has a funny name. So does AJ Przinsky. Come to the ballpark. But it actually, worked. They were sort of selling this idea of these misfit bunch of players with, hearts of gold. Except that's kind of what they were. And, they weren't actually particularly that good at baseball, but there was some strange alchemy that actually made them a great team. but so anyway, so Batgirl tended to take those characters and kind of exaggerate them. So, Corey Koski, he's Canadian, so we'll just really make fun of that a lot. And it turns out you can beat that dead horse like a lot. Like you'd think you get sick of putting A after everything, but it turns out you really don't.
Keeps giving.
It is. Canada is the gift that keeps on giving.
Even in the Morneau era.
Even in the Morneau era, yes, I had to dress like a Mountie quite a bit. So it was sort of founded on like sort of celebrating these guys and their personalities and sort of constructing elaborate narratives out of them. Sometimes it was here's this new guy coming up, Matt Guerrero, and he looks exactly like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo. So we were playing the Expos tonight. Remember the Expos? And, yes.
Oh, that's heartening.
Never forget. And so we're going to do a whole elaborate like Scooby-Doo thing where Felipe Alou, where are you? You know, or retell the Minotaur story, but Jorn Steinbrenner is the king of Crete, and his wife, you know, is supposed to have sex with the bull, but the bull is Jeremy Giambi, and out of that is the monster known as the New York Yankees. And the good twins come into the maze and fight them. This was like one weird game where we actually beat the Yankees, which I didn't realize at the time was so special. I know. Or it was like taking, you know, one specific, very stupid little aspect. Like we had a player, Dennis Reyes, Howard? Denny Reyes, thank you. And like he was very, very fat, and his name is spelled like Denny's the restaurant. So of course, like, sweet. So that could power me for a really long time. So I had him like that. He was named himself after his favorite restaurant and his favorite dish. So I called him Denny Sampler Reyes for a couple of years. Or Jamie Moyer, we're playing him, and he's really old, and he's a mariner. So we're gonna do the rhyme of the ancient mariner. Get it?
It just goes on and on, doesn't it?
It just goes on and on. So that was the idea, that, you know, there's tons of narratives that can be spun, that baseball is a game of tremendous narrative beauty and lyricism and poetry, and also, you know, it can on occasion be fun.
And actually when it's not fun. And I the team that you're talking about in particular, I think there were some instances where it was, you know, the seasons didn't always end up the way they might have.
They didn't always end up the way they might have been. It actually, I think that the Twins in the postseason have sort of fallen victim to their own narrative. That the instant we lost that first game, it was like, oh, we're going to lose all three, because that's the narrative. We had to win that to break it. And even, you know, the sports writers have spun it into David and Goliath, but Goliath keeps kicking David's ass repeatedly.
Well, I think it was H.L. Mencken that said that, you know, in the entire kind of grand narrative of humankind, the example of David versus Goliath is so rare that people are still talking about it 2,000 years after it happened.
We're trying, we really are.